uh, do our own thing. But every now and then, you know, we want to just like have someone to share our energy with and just be, you know, close with. And I think cats are super sexy. So, you know, my sex appeal with the sex appeal of a cat, like, I definitely want that.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. You're listening to The Cool Table. We are in the cut with Miloe.
Hello, hello.
I love that when I think of your name, I think of the drink Miloe, which I haven't had in years. But when I was sending some of your stuff to some people, I was like, Miloe like the drink. That's how you say it. And I'm like, I get that. I get that right away. I see you digging into your ice cream. Anyone who hasn't watched the show before, if you're in the cut for the first time, we challenge our guests to finish a tub of ice cream before the end of the interview. Tell us about the flavor you chose, and thank you for putting your tummy through the twerking just for us. We appreciate that.
Yes, no, I appreciate it because I love ice cream, but I chose the strawberry cheesecake because growing up I was a big fan of it from Baskin Robbins. So I figured I'd try it out from you guys here. And yeah.
How is it so far, and how do you feel about your chances? It looks a little frozen, but I like the effort you're putting in because you got to get that good start. Once you get that good start, that kind of pushes you forward. So how do you feel about your chances right now?
I feel like this is a lot bigger now that I've opened it. I'm looking to go 3/4 of the way. It is a little more frozen in the center than the rest, but I think throughout the time will be good.
Okay. I got my fingers crossed for you. I want to see it done. So I'm very, very excited for that. I really have
got a bigger spoon.
definitely should have got a big spoon. Definitely should have maybe thought it out a little more. It's funny. I told someone, I said, this ice cream is something you might need like a ball up before the interview for, like, especially if you're trying to finish. So, you know, listen, next project, next time you come back, you know what to do. So I got my confidence in you next time. I don't know where to start with this project because I first want to start with just the art I love. I love the name of the project as well. So I guess let's start there. Then we can get more deeper into it. But the art I love. I feel like the art is like a story on its own. And then desperate times, like everyone knows what that means. So please tell us.
Yeah. So I basically for the art, I was looking for a while because I usually just have like a picture of my face as cover art, but I wanted this project to have something that was a little bit more meaningful and like kind of took on the project as like and was the face of the project. And so I was able to get in contact with this artist that I'd followed and who just did some really cool like acid trippy type vibes of art. And so yeah, I hit her up and for the album and the title Desperate Times, I was going through a lot of anxiety and like just struggles with the idea of home. And I found that I was very lost and I really just wanted to find home within myself, a physical home within my own body. And so I basically just told her like, yeah, I'm struggling with this and through the project I was able to kind of like find that safe space. And so she just kind of went with it. I told her that like I love the acid trip vibes because a lot of the songs in the album were kind of created around that vibe as well. And so yeah, she just came up with that beautiful piece and it encapsulated everything I wanted with the woman's body, so the femininity of myself, kind of in this home, but she's bigger than the home. And she's safe in that space, but also is like wandering out, kind of like her essence is kind of escaping that space. And so yeah, that's kind of where the art came from, and where the title of the album came from, was that desperateness for me to find a safe space within myself.
Yeah, when you're talking about feeling like home, feeling like a safe space,
Mm-hmm.
the word that comes to mind for me is grounded. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's a word that's kind of become more, in my vocabulary over the last year or so.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of really, really feel that one as well. And then there's some songs on here where it feels like freedom is the word I would use. And there's like a freedom that comes kind of either in the instrumentation of the track or even in what you're saying. So those two themes together, I'm happy to hear that I wasn't totally off and
Yeah,
on
no,
my,
you're
on my own
right
end.
on
So
track.
I'm happy to hear that. Rainy Days, I think might have been the first song I heard from you, but um tell us about Rainy Days and kind of where it fits, into the project.
Hmm. So, sorry. Rainy Days was at a point in the project and in my life when I had finally kind of settled into my relationship, into myself. Um, but it so it was like, it was a love song that really was just describing like how beautiful that my relationship was, and how confident I was within it. But it also was speaking to the hard times in those relationships, and the times when you're most vulnerable, and how strong a relationship can be when you allow yourself to be vulnerable and honest in those spaces where you might have some difficulty, like being true about your feelings and that kind of stuff. So I wanted that to fit in the project near the end, because it was like this whole journey of me being lost, and now I'm like found in this safety of my relationship. And even though my relationship was still hard because I was going through all that, my being vulnerable in that space allowed me to find a love for both myself and my partner that was more deep than I had known I was able to provide in a relationship. Yeah.
It's like deeper than even known possible. I
Yeah.
I almost feel like this interview is just for me because these are like my own personal questions. Everyone knows I love love, so we talk in my language right now.
Yeah.
And especially Rainy Days coming at the end, why I mentioned to me like hearing it first is like that was one of the first songs I heard from you. So when I heard the rest of the project compared to Rainy Days, I was like, oh, okay, this is it's like a little bit of a journey going on here. So
Mhm.
I'm glad you talked about that because Rainy Days was definitely more like love is great.
Mhm.
Being vulnerable is so fun, which is not it's not always fun,
Yeah.
but it was one of those few times when you're like, oh, being vulnerable, such a great choice that I made here.
Yeah, exactly.
I love to hear that on a project because people don't always talk about that. It's like being vulnerable is sometimes like we also know people say it's a bad thing, but it's not a cool thing to do sometimes.
Mhm. Yeah. And I disagree with that in the sense that I think it's one of the coolest things that you can do is to be vulnerable, because a lot of the times that will change a circumstance. And sometimes it might change it in a way that feels awful at the time. You might lose something or someone that you love. Um, but in the long run, being authentic to your own emotions is always beneficial. And so yeah, it doesn't seem cool, but it's definitely one of the coolest things you can do because of how far it will take you in the future. And so I wanted that to also come out before the album too, to show like well, one, because it was like the most R&B like song that I think was on there, and so it was very like I knew that people would take to it, and also because I wanted to show that, you know, I am in a good place right now, but I want to show you kind of what happened before I get there. So
Hmm.
that came out first, and then you get to listen to the whole album to figure out like, okay, that's how we're at this point now.
Nah, you definitely walked us through that expertly, flawless
Yeah.
execution. You had a bar in there about being vulnerable with yourself or true with yourself about your own feelings is the best thing you could do. We
Mhm.
might not have any gems left for Wednesday Wisdom because right now you're spitting bars all over the place. I like that one a lot too because the power of being vulnerable is something that I think that is definitely just underrated,
Mhm.
under underrated.
Super underrated.
Something I told a lot of the kids that I mentor, or the young people that I work with, I just talk about all my L's. I'm like, listen, you have never taken an L like me. You don't even have what it takes to take an L this big. And it's like, those things that in the moment, horrible, they can kind of be helpful going forward. And I love that you showed the growth on this project as well. From Stolen Paradise
Yeah.
all the way until the end. You talked about it, Rainy Days being the most R&B song on the project. I'm happy that you mentioned that, because there's a part in the middle, I would say maybe between Desperate Times and Euphoria, where I'm just straight zoning.
Yeah.
And it's not a traditional R&B vibe. It's something very different. Can you talk about those two songs together and kind of the place that you're taking us to?
Yeah. So Desperate Times and Euphoria came around the same time, and they're actually the two songs that really started the whole project and the whole journey for myself. When I was creating those songs, I was going through, that was like the peak of me kind of understanding, like, okay, I don't know who I am, but I do know who I want to be. And how do I like bring my soul back into my body so that I can be that person? Like, for a long time, I was just kind of watching myself live life, but not really living it, if that makes sense. And so those were it was a dark time for me. It was a time where I was confused and unsure of my future in both this career and just in within myself, in my relationship, and all that kind of stuff. And so the production on them was really dark as well. And when I first wrote Desperate Times, I was in the studio and just like singing, and like my voice was being really weird. I wasn't saying anything that made sense. And it was just, I was just like kind of calling out this Desperate Times. It just kept replaying in my head. And then I hated it. I hated it so much at first. I was like, what is this? Like, this is not even music. But I came back a couple of days later, and this is when we were on the acid trip, and I heard it again, and it was just like one of the most beautiful things that I've ever heard myself create. And I was able to understand that like what my voice was doing was just releasing this weirdness inside of me, this unsuredness. And so seeing the beauty in that, I was like, okay, like we have to make, this is the project. We have to like stem from here and like figure out what this journey is from that. And then Euphoria came after that, and it was still in this space of like darkness and like I don't know what I'm doing, but i'm I'm in a relationship now that's kind of showing me parts of myself that I wasn't or that I wasn't aware of. And so not only was that my like coming out and being honest about my relationship, but it was also me like understanding that this is a good place. Like I might be drinking, I might be smoking, I might not know who I am, but right now in this room, I'm happy. And so it was like dark, but still like, okay, we're on the verge of something here.
Oh,
So,
I
yeah.
like that. I like that.
Mhm.
I feel validated that those are the two songs that I really drew towards. I don't know what that says about where I am, but I really felt that. And then uh Euphoria is like, I don't want to call it the interlude of the album, but it's like after Euphoria, once you get into the rest of the project, it's like you can't turn, like, forget where you've heard, forget where you
Yeah.
saw. You're like, okay, things are different
Yeah.
now. We'll move forward. So I like that a lot. This project, the first thing I put in my notes, and this is no lie, I
Mm-hmm.
put this as a bareback album.
Okay.
This project is what you put on to exchange fluids with someone. That's what this project feels like.
I
And
love that.
as I listened to it more, I said, this is actually a project for someone you actually care about as well. Like
Yeah.
this is a project, for you to have that with someone you care about. So you talked a lot about, your relationship and the relations with that, and having these new feelings with your partner, but does this project have kind of a space for you, Cold, eh?
Yeah, the ice cream's getting to me now.
Jeez.
Ooh.
Yeah, does this project kind of have a special place for you, just in terms of what it signifies, because I don't personally, I don't have that many projects that I would even put in the category that I'm talking about. Like there's some bareback projects, there's some you love someone projects, but those two together is not happening as often. So to talk about where this project, I guess, sits for you, because I think what you've created here is maybe more unique than you even realize.
Yeah, thank
So
you.
let's talk about that. Have the project holding that special space?
Yeah, I think for me specifically, a lot of the times when I'm writing, I'm taking from experiences that I'm having, obviously, and specifically in my relationships. But I think what happened with these songs was they started as that and then really turned into me kind of understanding parts of myself that I wasn't aware that was happening within myself. And so, yeah, it very much holds that space of like being a personal journey, but also a journey through what I'm like through the relationship I'm in. Um, and I think that that's exactly what I wanted for the project, was for, people to kind of look within and be like, what space am I in right now? And like, it, it was very much me just asking questions to myself, like, what am I doing? Who am I doing it for? And like, where am I at in my understanding of myself? And so, yeah, it holds a very important place in my heart with me discovering who I am. And I think it came at such a perfect time because now, I'm able to do these interviews and stuff, and I'm able to express kind of what it means to me. And the fact that you understood it for yourself in that same way was like super amazing to hear. So, yeah.
You dropped another gem. You said where I was at in my understanding of myself.
Mhm.
And even that is like its own separate journey. I've been saying this kind of all year that, like, if the high school me or whatever age me could see me now, they would
Mhm.
think something drastic happened to me. They would think, what did you go through? What happened to you?
Mhm.
Why is your hair like that? What's going on here? And it's like,
Yeah.
it's kind of your understanding of yourself, what you're capable of, who you are, who you want to be. And, that's kind of a big part of the journey. So I'm really happy that, we have a project here that can hold that space. On end of the end, sorry, at the Into the Tide, at the end,
Mhm.
those guitars, love,
Amazing.
love,
Being vision.
love those guitars. That was one of the songs that I said kind of had that feel like freedom, like, they're getting their stuff off. And then Cruel, at the end of that song, I had a similar feeling now.
Mhm.
There's a rare thing on this project where you have some of these songs that tell a story within the song as well as a story within the project.
Yeah.
Cruel feels like one of those to me. Can you talk about Cruel a little bit?
Yeah. So Cruel is very much that. The placement was very, very, what's the word? Um,
Intentional.
yes, intentional. It was
I
very
got you.
intentional. So Cruel in itself was written actually like 6 years ago. And at the time, I had just gotten out of a relationship that was very detrimental to my mental health. It was super toxic. Um, and so writing this song was just really therapy for me to just get out like the understanding that like you really like messed me up, and like how do I get past this? Like how do I, or I've allowed your cruelness to break me apart and like tear me into this like version of myself that I don't understand, don't like. But I know that I'll never allow that again. And so in that is where I found the strength. And so that's what that song started to be about. And then years later, after getting the beat remade, and because it was originally off like a YouTube beat that was not good, and so getting it remade, it became more of a song that was reminiscent of all those dark, deep, scary things that I've gone through that have made me who I am today, and that have given me the strength to, do music as a real thing. And so it's a very empowering song to me now, whereas at the time it was more like a little bit of sadness that I just needed to release. And so the reason that it's the second song in the album as well is because the first song kind of speaks to um, just the first idea of being lost. And then this song speaks to enduring pain and suffering and what can come from that, and like the beauty that is inside you, that can be released once you allow yourself to get rid of whatever is kind of hindering your growth. And so yeah, so it was placed second because I talk about being lost, and then I talk about, you know, finding myself again and what that might look like. And then going to the next song, I talk about understanding that and saying F you to every other negative energy that enters my life. And then it kind of continues on as we go through it. So yeah.
Listen, I'm here for that. I'm here for that. I personally just needed that explanation of cruel. Talking about that negative energy that kind of puts you at a certain place in your life, and then the realization that things will change, that you can do whatever it is that you want to do next. Like, I think that's kind of a huge thing that, again, in the moment, it just feels like so much what you're saying is really taking me back to times when I was like, yes, I don't know, man. And like, you know, my friends are telling me, man, this is not even you. I'm like, it might be, this might be the new me. You know, and you got to kind of understand in yourself that, you know, the new you is not this or the past, but something completely different. So
Yeah.
I like to hear about all that. And cool. This is the last one before we get to our special questions that we ask everyone on the show. I think it was just, how far are you? How far are you?
3/4. I got a little bit
That's
of water.
impressive. That's impressive. And you actually are talking. So
It helped that it melted.
yeah, definitely very, very impressed. I don't know if this was desperate times. Maybe it was, but you said at a part in it, I didn't know I liked it. And we've kind of talked about that as well. Talk about, you know, whatever that line was about. But I feel like we've dipped our foot in that a little bit in this conversation, but talk more about that.
So the line goes, I didn't know I liked it till I went again and tried it. And so that was speaking, like at the time, it was specifically speaking to being with a woman. And so, I mean, I knew I liked it, but I didn't know that I wanted this to be my forever journey. Like I didn't know, like originally, you know, you grow up thinking like, oh, I'm going to marry a man one day and like have kids and all that stuff. And so it was very much for me, like, I didn't know I liked this part of myself. And then I tried it again and again and again. And I realized, you know, this just is me, and I'm happy in it, and I'm satisfied with it. And so it was very much that, but it was also kind of, I didn't know I liked myself until I looked at myself again and tried to experience myself not from afar and just from being in me every day and going through my life. And I didn't know I liked who I was until I tried to be who I am authentically.
You are just having so many. I'm actually just speechless. Like that was literally perfect. Yeah, I feel like this conversation already is going to be really helpful to someone who's trying to figure out kind of their own path in that way, and you know, figuring out who they want to be and what they want to do. So really, really appreciate that.
That's my hope for whenever I put out something. You can just connect to it and like find things within yourself that you weren't aware of before. So,
exactly. They say the top 5 people in your life help make you who you are. So who are the top 5 people in your life that help allow you to be you?
Yeah. Well, the first one would probably be like my family as a whole. They're all number one. They're always there for me, always supportive, always just, you know, understanding of what I'm doing, even if they don't necessarily agree with it. So family for sure. Number 2 would probably be my current partner. They've taught me so much about myself without even kind of realizing. And I don't know if it was just because of the time when I met them, or just the different journey that I've gone on with them, but they've taught me to be confident in who I am, in my sexuality, in my just overall being, and to, you know, to love myself more than I love others first. And then I would say my friends next. I have so many amazing friends that I work with, specifically like my two producers, who produced this whole project, Dean Vision and Late Night Drive. And then I have a lot of friends that do like my photography and that kind of stuff. And so I've created a team of genuine just friends and people that we appreciate each other and appreciate the journeys and strangeness that we're all going through on similar levels, and then we're able to create together in these beautiful visuals. So those are probably my top people, and then just the other friends that are just there like as therapy, and like just friends that I can just go to and just talk all night long about not even music stuff, just all this kind of stuff, like what's going on in our heads and stuff like that. So yeah.
You definitely need those people. I love to hear a good top five. You know, having a top five is important. And again, for anyone out there, if you don't got a top five, it's okay to have a top two.
Yeah.
Whoever is real, keep them around. You know, we always got to have love for the real ones. This is a question that I just can't believe I wasn't asking this earlier, but you know, we're here now, and this is one that we can get a good answer to. When people get $100 million, it seems as if what you got to do is buy an exotic animal. I don't know how that came about, but that just seems the way it goes. Mike Tyson with his tiger, Justin Bieber with his monkey, Michael Jackson with his monkey. So when you get to that $100 million level, what animal are you going to have by your side?
I was never really into like pets and animals and that kind of stuff growing up, but recently I've found that I really, really want like a cat. And so if I can afford, okay, you know those really tall, they're domestic cats, but they're like really tall, kind of look like leopards.
Are they dark?
They're like leopard color. I don't know, like that orange and with the
Okay,
brown,
yeah.
kind of like tiger, but dots instead of stripes.
I don't know the name of it, but I know what you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah.
One of
So
those.
basically, yeah, if I could get a leopard, I think that would be it. Specifically because I feel like cat energy is similar to mine, where we like to be independent, do our own thing. But every now and then, you know, we want to just like have someone to share our energy with and just be, you know, close with. And I think cats are super sexy. So, you know, my sex appeal with the sex appeal of a cat, like I definitely want that.
That could be fly. I like that one as a cat. Y'all can both kind of operate around the crib on doing your own thing. When it's time to cuddle up, y'all can cuddle up. Yeah, I like that one a lot. Yeah, and I guess $100 million you can afford to have a cat in the crib. So
not like the regular everyday cats, but those tall, like
yeah,
skinny, like love it.
Those cats walk around with some swag.
Yeah, exactly.
Swag. This is the last one. Now we do a segment on the show every Wednesday called Wednesday Wisdom with our boy Brandon Gibbs, and he has a new motivational quote for us every single week that, you know, help someone get through the week. Now, is there something like that in your life that you tell yourself or tell the people that kind of keeps you going?
It's interesting because I have been going, or like even through this conversation, I feel like we've spilled a few here and there, but recently I've been hearing this quite a bit: fake it till you make it. And I know it sounds super lame and super cliche, but genuinely I faked it. I am like the most shy, awkward, like weird girl, but I just pretended like I was super confident in myself, and that has really taken me to like levels that I did not expect growing up. And like, so yeah, just if you don't feel confident, if you're afraid of, you know, to show the world yourself, just pretend that you're not. and it sounds so like lame, and it's not like the easiest thing to do, but it very much is something that like will take you to the next level and will end up providing you with that confidence, because you'll notice that, you know, people perceive your outgoingness in such a positive way when, you know, it's still you, but you're just putting on that extra layer of like, I know myself, we're all good, you know? So yeah, fake it till you make it, I would say.
Yeah, that's a good one. And you got a good point in there saying that, you know, it helps you actually get that confidence too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, I like that one a lot. Fake it till you make it. That's one of the few gems dropped in
Yeah.
this episode. That's not the only one. So make sure pick up all those gems off the floor, because you've been dropping them. Let's see about the ice cream. Where are we at right now? Three
Okay.
quarters done?
Yeah, I said 3/4. It's pretty much done. There's like one lump and then a few like
Okay.
just it's barely there.
Okay. That's impressive. That is impressive. That's impressive.
Yeah, I mean, my stomach's gonna hurt in like 20 minutes, but I did it. I did as best as I could.
No, we appreciate it. We appreciate the tummy twerking. I'm
Yeah.
lactose myself too, so
Yeah.
we definitely appreciate it. I wonder what that poll is at in terms of people voting you yes or no. Can you
Yeah.
post it?
I would love to.
For all the ones who said no, you're pretty damn close. So
I mean, if we had 3 more minutes, I could probably do it.
I
We'll just go with what they said.
yeah. I believe in you, but the lactose people like myself, I got a special soft spot, you know, for y'all. So I don't want you to go through more than is absolutely needed. But I want to thank you again for joining us on the show. Of course, Desperate Times is out right now. What do you have coming that you want people to check out for, and how can they support you?
Yeah. Well, I always say follow me on Instagram first, because that's where you can get to know like me as me. I do like makeup, get ready. It's just like I show my true self. So follow me on Instagram at Mighloe. And then I do have some very exciting visuals for the project coming out. It's actually a full 22-minute full project visual that will be on IG Live in the coming week. So if you're not following me yet, definitely follow me, because that will be coming up very soon.
Okay. I'm excited to see that. I can't wait to see what visuals go with this whole project. So I'm very, very excited to see that. Anyone listening to In the Cut for the first time, please go ahead and subscribe. Apple Podcasts, Google Play. Leave us a rating and a review, 5 stars, not a single star less. Subscribe to us on YouTube as well. We got new episodes coming for you every single Friday. And then, of course, you can catch the Cool Table live every Wednesday at 11 a.m. on CJRU 1280 a.m. in Toronto. But until next time, know yourself, know your worth.
Thank you.